Let me pull up the story we got from Fox News. CNN's Jim Acosta compares Virginia to Soviet-style police state under Glenn Youngkin. Critics took to social media to blast Acosta's comparison, calling it a bridge too far and evil. Well, as you all may not be aware, Jim Acosta is doing some show on CNN called Democracy in Peril. I think it's funny that Glenn Youngkin only just got into office. There's no Soviet-style police state of anything. Barely anything's happening. Meanwhile, in D.C., you need to show your papers to get into a restaurant.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But not to vote.
But not to vote.
So the question: what exactly does Acosta think the parallel is here?
He's lying.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's in New York or Atlanta or D.C., but in our nation's capital, if you want to visit the Capitol and protest, it's more difficult to do so, especially if you're not vaccinated. If you want to communicate with your elected representatives, it's nearly impossible to do so. We have that rump committee threatening and talking about throwing out hundreds of members of Congress because they opposed they were involved in the election disputes. You have the Justice Department talking about investigating thousands of people because they were opposed to the election disputes. That's the Soviet-style approach to governance.
You see Joe Walsh?
Good for you.
On Twitter?
No. I know who he is. I didn't see it.
He said anybody who tries to put forth a fake group of electors should be investigated or blah, blah, blah. So let me just want to...
Which Democrats did in 1960
You beat me to
Hawaii.
It. That's right. So what they made up a fake story. Rachel Maddow talks about it. She's like, I've discovered forgery documents. Shut up. They're not forgeries. What happened was when the election was being contested, whatever your opinion is not the point. Republicans said, we are going to fill out the forms the same as the Democrats were, and we're going to submit them. And sure enough, when the official electors came in and were certified for the Democrats, they went and Pence chose them. And it was 1960, I believe, right?
Yep.
Nixon versus Kennedy. Hawaii certified Republican electors, but the Democrats decided to go and fill out their own forms anyway. Lo and behold, the courts ruled in their favor. So when the uncertified Democrat electors went to the joint session of Congress, Nixon said, we know what happened. The courts have ruled. So I'm going to pick these anyway. Imagine that. Yep. It's historical precedent. But now you've got these people lying about it. And this is what I say. This is why I say the culture war is between people who know and people who don't know. Because if you've read, I read about that stuff in 1960 years ago with Nixon. I was reading it years ago and, with the midterm elections or whatever. And so when all this stuff comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, they just did what happened in 1960. But then he lies about it. Yeah.
I mean, in my view, there's a special place in hell for politicians who want to put their political opponents in jail. I mean, to me, that is a particularly grave evil.
Should be a special place in jail for him too.
Donald Trump said Hillary Clinton should be in jail.
Well, I don't think he said she should be prosecuted, and he didn't want to put her in jail because he didn't like her politics. He thought she committed crimes. Here you have the leftists saying, oh, participating under the First Amendment in a rally is an evidence of a crime. Participating under the constitutional system to challenge electors and federal law to challenge electors that we've done since time immemorial, that all of a sudden is a crime.
Right.
It's more pernicious than that. It's one thing to say, I think this person committed a crime. She stole all her emails. I mean, we were involved in that. It's another thing to say, I don't like your politics and you should be censored and you're a criminal and a terrorist. That's what they're saying in a casual way.
Yeah. Also, I want to mention this. I mean, the Clinton campaign wanted to have U.S. intelligence officials brief the Electoral College on Russian interference in order to sway them. So they have absolutely no respect for the system or ensuring that the electorate or those in the Electoral College select those whom were voted for.
We went through 5 years.
Yeah.
Technically now it's 7 years, but I was, before in 2020 it had been 5 years of lies about Russia and Ukraine and all of that manipulation. You want to talk? Hey, Jim. You want to talk about Soviet-style police state? Let's talk about how some dude who works for the CIA accuses the president of some nonsense, and the people of this country can't even say his name. Please don't say his name, because we can't. Because you want to know who's enforcing the Soviet-style police state? It is the Democratic establishment. It is the media. It's social media. If we say the name of this guy, YouTube will take the stream down.
Well, and that's exactly the thing. So I think the best way to summarize the Soviet-style system and the parallels in America are as follows. In 2016, it was alleged that the election was fraudulent. And in that instance, we investigated those who were elected. In 2020, it was also alleged that the election was fraudulent. This time, we investigated the people making the accusation.
Yeah.
Well, the left has been doing this since 68. They thought Nixon stole the election. They had secret negotiations with Vietnam. 72, he overwhelmingly won, so the left used Watergate to relitigate. He cheated his way in. 1980, Reagan had secret talks with Iran. His election was invalid.
I saw this. I think Snopes tried doing a fact check on it, but it said something like every election since 1968 the Democrats have claimed has been stolen. Is that?
Well, it's 2000. I was down counting ballots in 2000.
Wow.
Gore was running around trying to change the results. And then 2000. Then now we're in 2016 with Trump. They tried to change the results.
I'm just tired of it.